Julia Cameron points out in The Artist's Way that creativity flows when we feel safety and self-acceptance. So for my creative annotation, I thought about what makes me feel those things. And for me, it's painting and swimming. And though I could argue that swimming is a creative pursuit and annotate that, I decided to go with painting. In terms of selecting or thinking about what I wanted to paint, I was inspired by Mumford and Sons, I knew I was going to say that, Mumford et al.'s research on the cognition of creativity and their model for it. And one of the things that they pointed out as being the first step is the problem construction. So I started thinking about what problems exist in my life that I would want to explore or express and articulate in an artistic way through a painting. So to tie it in with a project that I'm doing for my educational technologies class, where I am done some research and studies into settler colonialism and indigenous epistemology and indigenous rights and language justice, I decided to focus on an educational tool that has been used to propagate the Spanish language in Latin America and apply a critical speculative design lens to reimagine what that tool could look like if it had been designed to revitalize dormant indigenous languages. Finally feeling ready to start the painting process. But first, coffee. Jepson's The Mystic Way points out that silence and solitude helps center us and allows for our creativity to flow. It's like a gift for creation, he calls it. And I found that to be very true in being more aware of how my creativity flows. I tend to have more spurts of creativity in moments where I am not distracted and I can focus on what I'm doing. And I do lose track of time and place. So that sense of flow is joyful. Julia Cameron points out in The Artist's Way that it's part of our healing to not constantly be able to just activate creativity, and that's okay, that taking time to rest is okay, and having those spurts of creativity is it's normal and okay. I also appreciate that in the artist Torah, David points out that knowledge comes from suffering, and I can see how that is true across so many different lenses and ways. But in terms of language justice, when we talk about equity in language expression and articulation, it's about having a sense of dignity to express yourself in the language that feels the most authentic to you. And that's not always possible in spaces where there is a dominant language required. And even when there is accommodation, it's not always in a equitable parity to the dominant language. And then in cases of indigenous languages that have gone dormant, we don't have the tools. We don't have sometimes the ancestral knowledge in order to revitalize or recuperate that fluency in the language. So there is some suffering and loss that needs to be recognized in that. And here's one of the finished pieces. It depicts words in Nahuatl, one of the indigenous languages of El Salvador that is still spoken and being revitalized, as well as English and Spanish. I'm still working on this piece. It will feature words in Sai y Potum, one of the dialects of Lenca, an indigenous language of El Salvador that has gone dormant. It is the language of my ancestors.